صباح الخير جميعا. لقاء آخر، سنة أخرى نحن هنا نجتمع، ضيوفنا أصحاب الملتقى، نجتمع هنا في اللقاء الثقافي وخلال فترة المعرض اللي راح يكون في زخم من اللقاءات في المجالات الثقافية والفنية. حاليا نبتدي اليوم وأول محاضرة مع الدكتور علي موسى إيه. يحمل دكتور موسى درجة الدكتوراه في العلوم السياسية بالمعهد العلوم السياسية بغرينوبل في فرنسا. عمل صحفيا ومديرا للتحرير لجريدة أسبوعية ومديرا للصحافة المقروءة والمطبوعة بجيبوتي قبل انضمامه لليونسكو في العام 1997. بدأ عمله باليونسكو كمنسق لبرامج ثقافة السلام في القرن الأفريقي، والذي يتخذ من أديس أبابا مقرا له، ثم تولى رئاسة برنامج الديمقراطية، وأخيرا برنامج مكافحة العنصرية والتمييز العنصري في الحوار الثقافي. يعمل حاليا الدكتور علي كرئيس لقسم التاريخ وذاكرة الحوار، ومنسقا لبرنامجين من أهم برامج اليونسكو هما طرق الحوار، طريق الحرير وطريق الرقم، وبرنامج التاريخ العام وتاريخ المناطق، تاريخ الإنسانية، الأبعاد المختلفة للتاريخ الإسلامي، تاريخ حضارات آسيا الوسطى، التاريخ العام لأمريكا اللاتينية، والتاريخ العام لمنطقة الكاريبي، والتاريخ العام لأفريقيا. سعادة الدكتور علي أخذ وركز وأبحث ووثق جزء كبير من طريق الحرير، والذي اعتاد فيه البشر منذ القدم على الترحال من مكان إلى آخر وإقامة علاقات تجارية مع من جاورهم من الأقوام، متبادلين السلع والمهارات والأفكار. فشقت في المنطقة الأوروبية الآسيوية على مر التاريخ طرق للمواصلات ودروب للتجارة تشابكت وترابطت مع الوقت لتشكل ما يعرف اليوم بتسمية طريق الحرير، وهي طرق برية وبحرية بطول 12,000 كيلومتر، وتعتبر الطرق البحرية جزءاً لا يستهان به من هذه الشبكة، فمثلت حلقة وصل ربطت بين الشرق والغرب عن طريق الطريق الحرير هذا. واليوم نحن مع الدكتور علي حيث كثف دراسته في هذا المجال، والذي سيستعرضه معنا هنا. تفضل سعادة الدكتور.
Thank you very much. It's really a great honor for me to be here with you to share some thought about the Silk Road. I would like to express my gratitude to Mrs. Esma Cedric Al-Mutawa for her warm welcome and for inviting me to this event. Today we are trying to discuss and I hope that we could have some exchange about this Silk Road. Today there is a strong and renewed interest for the Silk Road in many countries and regions across the world. It has led to the proliferation of projects and initiatives referring to Silk Road at the national, regional, and international level, which touch upon many vast range of activities, including trade, tourism, education, art, infrastructure, industry, and communication. You may all know the important initiative launched by China in 2013 called One Belt, One Road, which ambition is to reconnect China with the rest of Asia, with Europe, with Middle East, and with Africa by using the historical legacy of the Silk Road. Other countries like India, Iran, Japan, South Korea, and Oman has also initiated projects in order to build new relationship on the memory and heritage of the Silk Road. But beyond the economic and geostrategic interest pursued through this initiative, I think the Silk Road has become attractive because of a certain nostalgia of a lost way of life, of a lost certain conviviality. Because in today's work marked by the alarming increase of ignorance, mistrust and violence favored by the global economic crisis, but also by the acceleration of communication and information technology, we are also witnessing strong aspiration for a more human and humanistic interaction between people. Hate speeches, vilification of the others, and fear exploited by all kinds of opportunists seem to cover and to speak louder than the goodwill calls for mutual understanding and culture of peace. So it is in response of this dangerous trend, many people in search of new direction, in search of solution, feel also the need to go back to history in order to identify the great moment of dialogue, tolerance, and rapprochement. The Silk Road appears to be an example of the need to be an example of this great moment, and it offers us a romantic narrative on the past interaction between people and nations. Considered as corridors of safety, transaction, and peaceful coexistence, this road shed a light on the process of construction of mutual trust, influences, and intercultural dialogue. In my view, the Silk Road also became attractive for another reason. I think it is the imaginary and the wonder which is surrounding this, the romance around the Silk Road. The Silk Road production, but also the glamorous silk product. We should remember that the Silk Road is not produced by human beings. It is produced by an animal. And this is something that also contribute to the romance. It is a textile which is woven from the protein fiber produced by the silkworm to make their cocoon. The legend tells us that it was a woman, a Chinese empress, who discovered silk while she was having a tea in the imperial garden with many mulberry trees. A cocoon fell into her cup of tea and then unraveled. And then she noticed that the cocoon was made with a long strand that was both long and soft. And she found how to combine the silk fibers into a thread and invited the silk loom that transformed it into a soft cloth. So that's how the silk appeared in the world. It was by chance, by a woman under a trees, and that's how the silk was discovered. That's what the legend says. So it's a very romantic. But this invention was not shared with everybody. It became one of the most guarded secrets in China for about 300 years, 3,000 years. And there was even imperial decrees with sentencing to death anyone who revealed to a foreigner the secret of the silk production. So silk was regarded as a high value product which was reserved for the exclusive usage of the imperial court for the making of clothes, drapes, banners, and other items of prestige. It was also used by the Chinese authorities as a diplomatic gift. So, but although this secret remained kept during thousands of years, it has been finally broken. And there is many legend about how the secret was broken. One of the first legends is to say that it was, again, the story of a Chinese princess who, upon leaving to marry a prince, decided that she could not live without her favorite fabric, and then she took the silkworms, she put her in her hide and leave China. That's how the secret was broken. That's one legend. There is another legend about the Japanese emperor who managed to use 4 Chinese girls to smuggle the silkworms out of China and provide information how to make the precious textile. And finally, there is a third legend saying that it was the Nestorian monks, Christian monks, who were sent to Central Asia by the Byzantine emperor, who smuggled out of China the secret of the cocoon by hiding them into a bamboo stuff. So there is many legends to show how the secret was broken. But despite the fact that the know-how on silk production became largely accessible to many nations around 1,500 years ago, China remained the world's leading silk producer till now. It is from China, and particularly from the city of Xi'an, that the Silk Road took their departure before becoming a network of trading routes stretching across the Asia to Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And as you can see, there is many different roads. It's why we put S to the roads. We have the continental roads and we have the maritime roads. Considered as the oldest and longest trade road, the Silk Road has played a major role in cultural, political, economical, religious, scientific, and artistic transformation that took place in major centers of civilization. While the silk was clearly one of the earliest and most important commodities traded around the road, other goods also traveled the roads, such as precious metal and stone, spices, porcelain, etc. More significantly, the Silk Road was a network of pathways, an avenue for the exchange of ideas. Migrants, merchants, explorers, pilgrims, artists brought along with them their religious, cultural ideas. For instance, Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity went to China through the Silk Roads. Many travelers venture into the Silk Roads in order to participate in this process of scientific, intellectual, religious, and cultural exchanges that took place in these cities. The technology of the silk production, the technology of paper making, gunpowder, block printing, made also their way to west through these highways. Cities, towns, caravanserais, oases, and ports along this road grew up providing service to merchants, while at the same time they becoming a melting pot places. They necessarily became scientific and artistic center where people from different ethnic and cultural background could meet, exchange. So this is why we always consider that the Silk Road was a place of progress where the exchange of ideas really went through. Yes, and the Silk Road also it's why the Silk Road is considered as the earlier form of globalization of trade, globalization of science, globalization of technologies, and globalization of ideas. The flexibility and adaptability of the Silk Road to the geopolitical context, but also to the changing demand of societies, may explain its popularity and its longevity. Maritime trade was another extremely important branch of this global trade network. Used for the transportation of spices, the maritime trade roads were also known as the spice roads, supplying market across the world with cinnamon, pepper, ginger, cloves, incense, timber, saffron, etc. from the Indian Ocean world. These spice roads stretch over 15,000 kilometers and they benefit from the progress in navigation made by the sailors from the Arabian Peninsula who forged new trading routes across the Arabian Sea, across the Red Sea into the Indian Ocean. So it was also all this progress made by the Arab sailors in the Red Sea had also contributed to the progress of the Silk Road. So comparing to other roads like the iron roads or the slave roads or the salt road, the Silk Road presents some specificity that I would like to recall. First of all, there were protected space which require a minimum of safety, of tolerance, and trust to facilitate the transaction and the trade. So there were peaceful sanctuaries where the capacity of exchange was much more efficient than the military force. This is very important. The capacity of exchange was much more efficient than the military force within the Silk Road. The second specificity of the Silk Road was that the power controlling the Silk Road has managed to preserve its security and safety because they understood that insecurity and conflict would kill the trade. So everybody have interest to keep this road safe. And everybody was expecting to gain, in fact, from that road. So, and to preserve the peace around the Silk Road. Another specificity of the Silk Road is that the Silk Road, unlike other roads, were not shaped by the colonial domination. The dominant nations at that period managed to keep not to apply colonial type of relation with the dominated people. So in a certain way we can say that the Silk Road is an example of what we can call a win-win transaction. Everybody was expecting to find some benefit from the Silk Road, and that is also one of the reasons why the Silk Road could be maintained without an important military forces. However, you know that the martial arts in China was developed along the Silk Road because the caravan were accompanied by monks, by people who are specialists in the martial art to protect the caravan. So it's why also the martial art was developed along the Silk Road. But there was not a heavy military presence along that road because everybody was getting interest from the Silk Road, protected in a certain way. People that through which the Silk Road crossed. Yeah. And finally, the particularity of the Silk Road is that it has developed a kind of what we can call a culture of interaction, a spirit of mutual curiosity, and a skill for intercultural communication that was facilitated between individual and communities along the long period of time that people have to follow the caravan, and also the long moment of discussion, of exchange during the caravanserai. So this encouraged a kind, what we can call a slow path of encounter and exchange that is completely different of today's quick fix solution and relationship. So all this specificity have led UNESCO to spotlight the importance of the Silk Road in order to learn a little bit more about this intercultural competence that was developed by the communities and the political intelligence that also kept the peace around the Silk Road. So UNESCO understood very, very early the potential of studying and promoting the Silk Road to illustrate the intercultural processes that shaped our world before the discourses on intercultural dialogue arose. As you know, UNESCO core mission is to build the defense of man, of peace in the minds of man by fighting against ignorance and prejudices, promoting mutual understanding, intellectual solidarities and cooperation through education, science, culture, and communication. But to that end, UNESCO has launched various programs, as you mentioned, and I would like to mention the two important flagship programs that UNESCO has launched. The first one is what we call the general histories and general and regional histories. It is a 6 collection of volumes from 6 volumes up to 9 volumes that bring together more than 1,600 scholars from around the world. The first collection was the history of humanity, to really understand how the different cultures in the world have contributed to the progress of world civilization. We have 7 volumes of 1,000 pages each, and it was the history of humanity began as early as 1952. The second collection of history book that we launched was the General History of Africa. It was an 8-volume collection which really transformed the discourses on the history of Africa, which, as you know, is the most distorted history. The third collection is the history of civilization of Central Asia, is 9 volume. The fourth one is the general history of Latin America, also to discuss the emerging of these societies in Latin America, which is a mixture of European culture, American native culture, and African culture. And we have also the general history of Caribbean. And finally, we just published the volume of the different aspects of Islamic culture. It's a 6-volume collection where we discuss not only the foundation of Islam, but also the contribution of Islamic civilization to the progress of humanity in science, in education, in culture. And of course, the last volume of this collection is Islam Today in the World, where we are talking about the different community of Muslims around the world, not only in the Muslim countries, but also in the world. So I hope that you can find all these books are on our website, free of access. You can access and download the volumes. So that is the first flagship program that UNESCO launched. The second one was what we call the Road of Dialogue. The roads of dialogue there was different roads. So the first one was the Silk Road. The second one was the Iron Roads. Then we have the Slave Road to speak about the issue of slavery. We have also the Faith Road to discuss how the religious in the world really interact. And we have also the Road of Andalusia to discuss also this incredible civilization that arose around in Europe and around the Mediterranean. And finally, we have a road that's called Arabia Plan. Through the general and regional histories, UNESCO has greatly contributed to the emergence of the new way of writing histories. First of all, we try to disarm the history. History is not only the relation between prince, kings, and the relation of military conquest or defeat. History is also the progress of science, the progress of communities in culture. So we really introduce a new way of writing histories. We also contributed to decolonize the history, because the general history of Africa, the history of Latin America and Caribbean is the history that gives the scholar from that region to tell their own history, and so to to give them to have the ownership of the discourses on their histories. And that is decolonization of the history writing was very important. And finally, we contributed to, how I can say, to delocalize the history. We showed that the important historical events goes beyond the artificial borders that we are sharing today in the new geopolitics. And that to understand a history of our nation, we need to understand what happened in the other countries around. And the border that we are today in are not there in the history. So delocalize the history, it's very important. So that's what the contribution of the UNESCO general and regional histories. So coming for the road of dialogue, this program was launched in 2088 and within the International Decade for Cultural Development. The concept of road is founded in this idea that interactions between people and culture have a transformative effect on societies. That was the idea behind the concept of road. This concept is also to try to identify and capture the dynamic which guided this interaction with the view of better understanding the modality of the intercultural dialogue. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to present you the different initiatives that UNESCO launched concerning the Silk Road. We began it was in 1956 that UNESCO launched a first project called, in New Delhi in India, called Orient-Occident Project, to facilitate dialogue between East and West beyond the Cold War barriers and discourses. The purpose of this project was to provide action and opportunity to reduce the psychological and political obstacle to exchange and debate on issues of common interest. This project helped really to cultivate a spirit of open-mindedness and intellectual cooperation in a period, as you all know, marked by mistrust, hostility, and even the threat of a global war. That was during the Cold War. Then in 1988, UNESCO started a new project called Integral Study of the Silk Road, Roads of Dialogue, which became afterwards one of the UNESCO flagship program. So this project, second project, really built on the experience from the Orient-Occident project, contribute to deepen the reflection on the intercultural dialogue. It mobilized thousands of researchers, journalists, artists, educators in more than 50 countries along the historical Silk Road and beyond to facilitate exchange experience and develop a common understanding of various aspects of the history. It contributes to the redefinition of the very concept of interculturality, the concept of cultural diversity, the concept of plural identity. And during this project, we have launched 5 major expeditions. Expedition means scholar, journalists, artists going and traveling the road. The first expedition was the desert road from Xi'an in China to Kashgar in 1990. The second expedition we organized is the maritime road from Venice to Osaka by passing through 27 historical ports. The third expedition we did was the steppe road, which go from Ashgabat in Turkmenistan to Almaty in Kazakhstan by passing through at least 5 Central Asian republic in 1991. Then we had the Nomads road in Mongolia in 1992, and finally we organized what we call the Buddhist roads in Nepal in 1994. So to give you an example of the output and the result of this expedition, for instance, the desert road helped to understand and to appraisal of manuscript that we found in this area during the that was produced during the Christian era. The steppe road contributed to a better understanding of the ethnic, socio-political, cultural, and linguistic specificity of the ancient nomads population. The maritime roads has provided an opportunity of studying the coastlines and the hinterlands, and to show how not only the silk but also other products was traveled this road. In addition of this expedition, the project organized numerous exhibitions, scientific seminars, conferences, and public exchange at local, national, and international level. It resulted of the production of a tremendous knowledge in the form of written, audiovisual, and oral documents on the cultural heritage of people from Asia, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So this project has also contributed to the establishment of several research institutes in different countries, in Uzbekistan, in China, in Mongolia, in Japan, in Iran, in Turkey, etc. After this project has been terminated in 2001, and afterwards there was a kind of a silence on the Silk Road. Then we realized that more and more countries are really rediscovering their relation and contribution to the Silk Road, and in order to respond to this new interest, and our member state at UNESCO also is claiming that UNESCO take the lead to how I can say reanimate the Silk Road. So we launched the second phase of the Silk Road, but under a different form. We wanted to use the potential of the new communication and information technology, and we created what is called the online platform, Silk Road Online Platform. So the idea of the Silk Road Online Platform is to gather all these archives, all this knowledge that we have, that have been produced by UNESCO, but not only by UNESCO, but also by our partners, into one platform, so people can access. It will be the text, written, research, audio-visual, images. So now this platform is settled. You can find it on our UNESCO. Perhaps today I will show you how you can navigate and how you can take benefit from that platform. Within this second phase, also we have created an international network of focal points for the online Silk Road. The idea is that in each country along the Silk Road, we have focal points who could help us inform about what is going on in this particular country, and how also to facilitate partnership and cooperation with other countries. So we created this international network. So far we have 25 countries which have designated a focal point. And we are going to have the third meeting of this network in Baku, in Azerbaijan, next month, to discuss cooperation, partnership, how we can really work around the Silk Road. Within this second phase, we are, and I just want to inform you, perhaps maybe some of you might be interested, we are launching an Silk Road atlas to really map the intercultural interaction that around the Silk Road. So we're trying to find at least 9 interest points, the intercultural, the interaction around religious, interaction around tradings, about science, about languages, music. So, and we are going to prepare this interactive, and it will be also on the line. So that is the second phase of the Silk Road in which we are now engaged, and I think the Silk Road for UNESCO is not only a kind of glamorous road. It is a way to understand what is really, what the intercultural dialogue, how it works. We want to understand, especially today where we are witnessing a kind of mistrust, a kind of what we call a new emergence of new ignorance. We want to understand how in the past people exchange and take lesson and draw lesson from that historical experiences to enlighten our today's reflection on culture of peace, intercultural dialogue. So that's why we get involved in the second phase of the Silk Road. I think I'm going to stop here and then perhaps engage into a discussion with you to if there is any other aspect you would like to highlight. Thank you very much for your attention.
ثانك يو دكتور علي. كما أضاف الدكتور علي هني فيه كانت إحياء محاولات في مطلع التسعينات بإنشاء الطريق الجديد ما عرف بالجسر البحري الأوروبي الآسيوي، وأطلق الصين في 2000 كما أضاف الدكتور علي في أن الصين أطلقت في 2013 مبادرة تعرف باسم استراتيجية الحزام والطريق، وبحسب ما صرح وزير الخارجية الصيني لبرنامج بلا حدود في حلقة بثت تجاوبا ومشاركة نشطة من نحو 70 دولة مطلة على هذا الخط One Belt One Road One Belt، وفي مقدمة دول الشرق الأوسط، وباستثمارات متوقعة تتراوح بين 4 و8 تريليون دولار. وطبعا يستهدف كان هذا المشروع تعزيز التجارة بين آسيا وأوروبا وأفريقيا إلى جانب التركيز على السلام العالمي والازدهار الحضاري لهذه الدولة. فأعتقد الدكتور علي قال وأعتقد أن يعني نفتح باب النقاش حاليا في للأسئلة بالزخم الهائل من المعلومات وش اسمه. هل من سؤال؟ questions?
رغم وصولي المتأخر إلا أنني سعيد بأن حظيت بالاستماع إلى معظم ما أراد دكتور علي أن يوصله إلينا، وأود في البداية أن أعبر عن تقديري وشكري لأستاذة أسماء على هذا الجهد المتصل والذي عبر السنوات الماضية أوصلنا اليوم إلى طريق الحرير. شفت كيف؟ أنت في مكان على صلة باليونسكو. هذا الملتقى هو أحد أندية اليونسكو الثقافية، ولذلك أنا سعيد جدا بأن يكون لليونسكو اليوم تواجد في هذا الملتقى. الموضوع أيضا موضوع مهم جدا، موضوع التعرض لأهمية وصلة طريق الحرير في التواصل بين الحضارات، وخاصة في هذا الزمن الملتبس الذي نحس بأننا بحاجة إلى مزيد من قبول الآخر واحترام المشتركات الإنسانية والعيش المشترك. لذلك هذا الأمر يحظى بأهمية كبيرة، وأنا رغم صلتي باليونسكو لكني فوجئت بحجم اهتمام المنظمة بهذا الأمر عبر العقود الماضية وهذا الكم من الإصدارات. لذلك هذا يعزز ثقتنا في هذه المنظمة بأنها لا زالت ضمير الإنسانية ومنتدى الحوار الفكري للبشرية. نحن اليوم الصين هي ضيف هذه الدورة لمعرض الكتاب، ضيف الشرف، وهم جاءوا ليعبروا عن هذا المضمون وعن حرصهم على استمرار رسالة طريق الحرير. لذلك يعني نحن نلتقي على مشترك يعبر عنه هذه الدورة لمعرض الكتاب. أنا لن أطيل، لكن فقط أسأل على حرصنا على استمرار المنظمة في استغلال هذا المشروع لمزيد من إثراء حوار الحضارات. وأشكرك كثير على هذا الجهد الجميل، ونشكر الحضور المستمر من يعني رواد هذا الملتقى وأعضائه، يعني لأنهم أيضا يقدموا نموذج لنا في أبو ظبي على هذا الحرص في التفاعل الثقافي والثراء الثقافي. وهذا النادي وهذا الملتقى هو للمرأة دور القرائية، ولذلك لهم جهود مشهودة ونأمل لهم الاستمرار. شكرا.
السلام عليكم. أولا أشكر الدكتور على المعلومات الرائعة اللي أضافها لي، بس حابة أذكر أنت قلت 25 دولة في طريق الحرير. هل في إمكانية إذا أنا كمؤسسة أو كمنظمة حاب مثلا أسوي مثلا علاقة مع دول أخرى، هل في إمكانية ضم دول أخرى على طريق الحرير، أم هي 25 دولة واكتفت بذلك؟
Is there any other participation? Better one-to-one.
First of all, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your appreciation of UNESCO work, and we are very proud to be here, my colleague Shanta and myself, to participate in this discussion organized by ESMA. And I think UNESCO, through initiative like this one, I think to share all what we have been doing to facilitate the mutual understanding of people, so that we will continue. This is really our core mission. In fact, this is UNESCO. Yes, responding to, in fact, I talk about 25 countries represented, but it's not limited, of course. That is because this is the response we receive from member states. We wrote to all the member states around the Silk Road. We wrote to more than 45 member states, and only 25 responded and designated someone to be a focal point to follow with us the activity, to inform us what's going on in the countries, in the specific countries, and to participate also in our different activity. But of course, the project itself is open to all the partners interested in the Silk Road, and we ourselves really trying to have as much as of partnership within the different countries. So it's not limited, but on the contrary, we encourage more people to come in the project, in the new phase of the project.
Thank you, Doctor. I just have a small question. What was the goods which was exchanged from the Arab world? If there was any exchange of goods, what was the product?
First of all, as I said, the Arabs have contributed a lot in the Silk Road. First of all, because of the new invention and progress made in the navigation. It's for thanks to the new road created by the Arabian sailors that also the Silk Road used, and that's what we call the maritime road. The maritime road are also called as spice road, and the main goods that was traded in addition to the silk was incense and perfumes, the cinnamon, the cloves, ginger. So that is the, and also, as I said, there was also precious stone and metals also was traded along the Silk Road. It's not only Silk Road, of course, that is a commercial trade. Is that okay? Yeah.
كان في بعد طبعا صناعة السفن. دول الخليج او الجزيرة العربية، شبه الجزيرة العربية كانت معروفة في صناعة السفن، فانتقلت كثير، خذوا من الرحال اللي موجودين انتقلوا للصين في صناعة السفن واللولو والمجوهرات والعطور طبعا والمجوهرات. الذهب كان في جزء. سؤال آخر فاتنة تفضلي.
My question was almost the same like this young lady, but I will add something that what kind of people, from which ages, from which countries? Now you said 25, but there's more. You said before there's 70 countries interested in the first phase. Are these people volunteers or they are paid employees? And if anybody individual is interested to join these missions, how can they do that? And thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there is different ways of joining the UNESCO Silk Road project. There is a way, as an expert, as a scholar, we always work with scholars. We organize meetings, so we invite a scholar from different countries. You know the countries, well, the map is not there, but it's more than 45 countries are interested, are involved.
And the age?
In not only in Asia, in Africa, in Middle.
I mean the age of these people.
Well, it's from
Scholars.
well, I can say we have young partners from 25 up to 70s. No, there is no really age limit on to be part of that. If your question was to see how some people who are interested can join, they can join, say, as a scholar. They can join also by organizing. For instance, if they organize an activity around the Silk Road, they contact us and we see how we can promote their activities on the platform, or even how we can even send some material, documents. So it's a way also of promoting.
Can they ask for jobs as well with you? So they will be your, representative of UNESCO around the world?
Jobs, well, if we need their expertise, then we, of course, we make them a contract to the expertise. If they organize, if they do work for UNESCO, they are paid. But in fact, the relationship is really, we are there to promote, to help countries to revitalize their common heritage of the Silk Road. So help them organize meetings, festival, cultural event. That's how we work with. Yeah.
كما قال الدكتور علي، طبعا هني في تركيز على أدب الرحالة. يعني في العصر الحديث تركيز على أدب الرحالة، literature more literature travelers، تركيز، لأن التاريخ كان اليوم ما هو ما يكتب اليوم صار يصبح قدم تاريخ. فكثير من الأشياء اكتشفت عن طريق التاريخ. One of the things, Dr. Ali, I want to add, the ICA, the International Cartographic Association, جمعية الخرائط الدوليين, they publish actually also an Islamic maps which had a road an effect on the Arabic all travelers, which had an effect on all the civilization, and one of them was the Chinese civilization and the road silk. And it's written there, so I've read it one day. أي سؤال آخر إذا ممكن؟ تفضل.
Thank you so much for this thorough and fruitful, actually, exchange information. My question is about, is the طريق الحرير, what we call it, help us for the cultural exchange between all the countries? And did UNESCO do any research about this one to focus and emphasize about the cultural exchange what is the elements and what exactly the influence this exchange to be to enter all the countries across the road. Thank you.
Yes, I think this is what all the project of Silk Road is about, is facilitating the cultural exchange between nations of today by taking account and the experience of the past. That is really the idea of the Silk Road today. Why UNESCO is, it's not just for nostalgia, because it's because we have to learn at this period of time, for thousands of years, people, nations exchange. And sometimes you can imagine that things that you think that it is your own culture, when you go back to the history, you see that it comes from another culture. Look, an example, you take the pasta, you know this, but the pasta is not Italian. You know that where the pasta came is from China. And then today it became a national dish of the Italian. This is in gastronomia, but you can take in dance, in poetry, and you can find that sometimes what you consider as your heritage, national heritage, is in fact something that was a mutual influence from. So what we are promoting through the Silk Road is this notion of common heritage, that we all are sharing a common heritage beyond the border, beyond the actual problem that we can have. And the fact to go back to this common heritage is to go now to facilitate not only interaction, but peace. And why not cooperation? And so that is the idea. The idea of common heritage. I stopped my presentation, but I wanted to introduce what we mean by common heritage, plural identity. Silk Road is common heritage is a kind of heritage that everybody is entitled to claim. The ownership, the common ownership of the Silk Road should be something that every nation should feel and claim as its own.
As they all participated on that.
As they all participated, and we don't know who participated more than other. We don't know, and we don't want to know more. We just want to promote that this is a common heritage and everybody has the right to own it.
دكتور علي, thank you very much. في سؤال؟ أي تفضلي دكتور.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شكرا جزيلا. أنا بتحدث بالعربية. دكتور علي، شكرا جزيلا على هذه المحاضرة القيمة التي نقلتنا عبر طريق الحرير، طريق الحب والسلام والأمان والثقافة. معك استنشقنا رائحة البخور العربي والتوابل والزعفران الذي هو عشق النساء العربيات. سؤالي، طريق الحرير مد الجسور للتبادل الثقافي وأيضا لزرع مفاهيم السلام والأمان. لم تعد الطرق اليوم كما كان طريق الحرير هو طريق السلام. برأيك كيف يمكن أن تعاد هذه الروح من جديد للطرق العربية، وكيف يمكن لليونسكو أن تسهم في ذلك، وهل يمكن للثقافة بوصفها مكون مشترك ما بين كل الشعوب أن تعيد هذه الروح من خلال الشعر، من خلال الرسم، من خلال كل يعني المفردات التي تنتمي إلى هذا العنصر، أن تعيد إلينا شيء من البهجة التي كان عليها طريق الحرير. أعتقد أن هناك مشروع في عمان يمكن في هذا الإطار، ولديهم أعتقد سفينة امتدت أظني من مسقط إلى تعيد أمجاد طريق الحرير. شكرا لك مرة أخرى.
Yes, thank you, Madam. In fact, you asked me a question, but you have already given the response to your question. It's true, literature is true that we could rebuild this trust and rebuild this sense of curiosity for the others. You know, that's what is perhaps today is lacking. Despite all the new communication that we have today, we have the impression that people are less and less interested in knowing each other. And the Silk Road is a clear example of how people can be really can have the necessary patience to understand the others. And culture is the key. The culture is the key. I was just saying that, but understanding that we always share something with the others, that we have a common heritage that we don't know, and rediscovering that common heritage through the culture is the way to perhaps today facilitate a peaceful exchange among people. And you mentioned this beautiful, yes, the Sultan of Oman have left UNESCO his boat. So we use this boat to make one of the expedition, the maritime expedition, which go through the 25 historical ports. And Oman really contributed. And the next year we are holding the meeting of our network, the international network, will be hopefully, inshallah, held in Oman next year. And we hope that perhaps the Emirate can be also part of the Silk Road, because so far we have not a focal point from the Emirates. So we'll be very happy to have this country also, which also contributed and was involved in the Silk Road, to be part of this network.
دكتور علي، مرحبا فيك في صالون الملتقى، ونحن سعيدين بحضورك وسعيدين بما ان صالون الملتقى احد نوادي اليونسكو. هذا شرف لنا وشرف وجودك معنا، وحياك الله دكتور. الحين في إعادة سؤالي، في إعادة إحياء ذا سيلك رود، يعني الصين والدول الخليج العربي إعادة ليش في هالوقت إعادة إحياء سيلك رود طريق الحرير؟ لماذا يعني؟
The reason for this specific.
Well, first of all, it was there is a growing interest in Silk Road across the world in different parts. Why? As I said, I think there is a nostalgia of an old way of communicating, of exchanging, of sharing that people feel that perhaps is lost today. And I think that may explain. But also I think there is a more economical reason also. People want to regenerate this road because they want to create a new relationship around this historical memory. But why UNESCO? UNESCO simply because we think that is a good example of an intercultural dialogue, and we want to understand more about really what happened, how people used to communicate, how they exchange, how the mutual influences. Here he worked to draw these lessons and to try to apply to respond to the new challenge of the intercultural dialogue today. That's the reason, in fact.
With the اتصال الحين السريع, the communication now, it's the globalization, it's small, the small village we are now. I think is this we need it now?
You know, we are in a small village, but we have the impression that this is small field, and despite all the means, communication means that we have, there is the rise and the emergence of new ignorance. And we see about Islam. You know, we make this collection of Islam to show the contribution of Islamic culture to the progress and to modernity. And there is still today people questioning if Islam can fit with the modern life. Islam was at the heart of the creation of the modern life, and people today. So today there is new ignorance that, despite of all the communication, despite that we became a village, and we think that the lesson from the history will be a great lesson to learn about how really so that's why we are interested in the Silk Road.
But the more يعني أكثر الاستعمار اللي صار عن طريق الاكتشافات والاستشراق. يعني more the colony coming through all these things, the Silk Road. يعني قولي له أغلب الحروب اللي صارت والمشاكل والاستعمار كله عن طريق الطريق الحرير واكتشاف الأشياء، وصارت يعني سياسيا أكثر ما هي اقتصاديا يعني.
Yeah, in fact, when you see the Silk Road is the only road that was not subjugated to the colonialism, because the Silk Road was not a Western road; it was a road that came from the East, and European came to the Silk Road very, very late. So I consider that the Silk Road is the only road, comparing to the Iron Road, to the Salt Road, to the Slave Road, is the only road that have not experienced the colonial type of relation. That's my, because if you see, it came from, only perhaps the Spice Road, yes, because the Indian Ocean was also a colonial world, but the Silk Road definitely has less to do with coloniality than the other roads. That's my reading of this history.
You spend your time all with عن طريق الرق. هو دكتور أنت حضرتك بحثت عن طريق الحرير وطريق الرق. and في موجود الرق الحين ولا انتهى؟ The slave road, you know.
Well, the Slave Road is another road that UNESCO initiated to shed light of this very painful period of time in human history, where we have the historical slavery. Fortunately, slavery is abolished. Now there is at least 3 international conventions which abolish slavery and make it illicit. So no country illicitly is practicing slavery, but there is new form of slavery today, and I think millions of people are subjugated to this new form of slavery. But this is another debate, I think. Yes.
I mean, I definitely the way you conclude. سؤال تفضل.
I'm sorry I am late because I find difficulty to come here. However, I believe that the Silk Road is a physical road that was created for many purposes, whether it is peace or economy or other things. However, now we have electronic communications, and the impact of the electronic communications may need the spirit of the function of the Silk Road, not physical road. What do you think?
You are completely right. Yes, today, of course, we don't need to make expedition to go from one point to another. Today, we have what we call the virtual road of dialogue, and this is what the ICTs will allow us. So we don't need to go. We can visit different places today through internet. So don't need. But definitely we have to take the lessons of the old Silk Road and use it in this new exchange that the ICTs will allow us to do. So the new virtual road of dialogue definitely should build on the lesson drawn from that experience. That's what, in fact, we try to do, and that's why we put in place a platform to become a new a platform for connection.